Congratulations! We've made it to the end of the book, Chapter 13, titled Jump In. Presented by me, Tina Southern. So you're probably wondering, now that we've read all of this text and we've analyzed all these articles, what happens now? What are we supposed to do after we graduate? Well, according to Haynes and Michelson, we just jump in. Since it might be a little bit difficult for some of us to just jump in, it might be helpful to first recognize some of our barriers and what we need to do to get rid of those or get over them in order to do the necessary job. As Ed Towns, MSW and U.S. Representative from New York says, social workers are ideally equipped to deal with problems of the nation and can be extremely helpful in the political arena. He goes on to say that politics is merely the way in which we decide who gets what, when they get it, and how much they can expect. So, policy is a means through which resources in society are divided, and who better to come to for knowledge of this than social workers? So maybe you're still a little confused as to where to start. Well, probably the most important thing to do first would be to register to vote, if you haven't already. Get other people registered. Feel free to talk to people, start conversations, have discussions. Meet people, network, go to job fairs. Do something like lobby days. Or write your congressperson or representative. Another great piece of advice: don't be afraid to start early. Let your micro influence your macro work. Everything we've learned in our clinical skill set would be extremely helpful in the political arena. Sometimes it can be easy to view ourselves as a social worker serving them or helping others. Let us try to rid of this notion and instead think of ourselves as an active member of the community. Fellow advocate Nancy Amide has a story for us. A good advocate is like these two people stuck up on a hill, all by themselves, and they're hopelessly outnumbered, and they don't even stand a chance because down in the valley there is a horde of bad people. These bad people are mean and ugly, and they're riding towards the hill as fast as they can. What are the good people going to do? Well, one of them gets behind a rock and gets a couple of stones, and they start making all of this noise. The other one gets a huge stick and starts whipping a big cloud of dust up. Pretty soon, the bad people down the hill hear all of this noise, and they see this huge cloud of dust, and they're like, oh my gosh, they've got us outnumbered. And they turn around and they run away. So even if there are only one or two of us, we should be able to get out there and make just as much noise. While one whips the rock and the other one stirs up the biggest cloud of dust. That's how our side is going to win. It's also a good thing that us social workers are expected to have some pretty thick skin. Thick enough for rejection and failure. It doesn't mean that we should stop. What it does mean is that we just need to learn how to play the game a little better. And that's all politics is, a game. A good indicator of whether or not we'll win the game is if we decide to speak up. This means speaking up in the grocery store when we hear something problematic. Hey, did you know so-and-so? Or maybe we're on public transportation and something happens in the form of discrimination. We can always stand up and say something. Or maybe we're frustrated at our workplace and we try to change the culture. Another great piece of advice that the authors give us is just learn to say no. It's okay to say no to more work, or to negotiate pay, or to stand up for yourself when you feel like you need some time. Alright, so let's get pumped up as social workers. We can do anything. We know how to work with different groups of people. We know how to be compassionate. We know how to listen. We know how to research, and we know what needs to change, and we have all of the tools to do it. We just have to start somewhere. If that didn't convince you, here's some living proof. A lot of us are involved with Lobby Days, a group that goes up to the Capitol every year to lobby on a particular cause. Last year, AB 663 was one of the major assembly bills that the students here at Cal State Long Beach helped to advocate for. After speaking with senators and probably most of their aides, the students were able to get across all of the information that they knew, all of the resources, all of the experiences that they had. Most importantly, what was going on a micro level that maybe the senator would have no idea about. And so, as a result of the lobbying and the information that the senators were given that day, Assembly Bill 663 passed. And so a lot of senior LGBT citizens were able to get benefits and retire peacefully. I'd like to read another quote directly from the book from the authors Haynes and Michelson. He says, "A great response to someone who is doubting your ability to do any work because you're titled a social worker, you could always just tell them, 'Yes, I am a student in the only profession that teaches systems thinking, that examines problems and issues from multiple, not single perspectives, a profession that understands the synergism that derives from multidisciplinary analysis, and a profession that has always valued collaborative rather than competitive practice.'" So to conclude this chapter, I'd just like to remind everyone that there are ways that we can influence state policy. The first one being visiting www.statepolicy.org to find out more information of current policies that are about to be heard. Another good thing that we all can do is go to town hall meetings. We can talk to other people, see what's going on in the community. And lastly, we can write. Never stop writing. Write businesses, corporations, organizations, agencies, individuals, Congress people, senators, heck, even write the president. You never know what could happen if you just act like the turtle. Patient and steady. Soft on the inside, tough on the outside, and knowing when to stick your neck out.